everyone. I'm Aarti, and this is Ajay, and
Hi.
we're from Pyramid Technologies, India. And we're here to present to you the Statue of Unity, the tallest statue in the world. Um, for those of you who don't know us, Ajay, you could.
We are a system integration company from India, and we started a company in 2002, and we started a company with doing building management projects, and somewhere in 2010, we started doing AV projects. And just to let you know, this is our first mapping project, which was concluded last year, and we completed this project in October 2018. Yeah, so yeah.
If, yeah, next slide. Yes,
So,
this
yeah.
is us, and yeah, we're very proud of this project. As you may or may not know, the Statue of Unity is the tallest statue in the world. It is dedicated to the Iron Man of India. Yes, we have an Iron Man too,
Yeah.
Sardar Patel, and he basically was a freedom fighter. He was an activist. He was the Home Minister of the first Home Minister of independent India. But what he did for the country, which nobody knew and actually nobody knows, is that he brought together the 565 princely states, without which India would have not been
What it is
this one
today.
country today. It would have probably been segments of little dots all over. So yes, so finally this statue was, the idea was presented by our Prime Minister, who wanted to give this tribute to this legend. And yes, so this is just telling you about the statue. So if you draw a comparison, Christ the Redeemer is at 38 meters. Then we have the Motherland Calls at 85. The Statue of Liberty is at 93 meters, sorry. You have to go.
Yeah.
Yes, Japan has its own statue at 120 meters. We have the Spring Temple Buddha at 153. And coming to the Statue of Unity, it's a colossal size of 183 meters. Why India built the statue? A lot of reasons. But one of the main reasons was that this statue brought to India, apart from the fact that it actually got the country global recognition for building the tallest statue in the world, and a lot of criticism too, but it's actually a very, very, how would we put it? It's actually something that has promoted the entire region. It was a tribal region, okay, and there was absolutely no connectivity to this region. It's in a small town called Kevadia in Gujarat, and after the construction of the statue, we've actually had a huge influx of tourism. We have a dam. We have there is a bird sanctuary which is just next to the statue, and it's basically brought about a lot of development in the area. So for those of you who may not know, the state is actually having about 25,000 visitors a day. Of course, not every day, but on peak days, and just to visit the statue right now. So even the concept of the statue was actually very unique, because there was a campaign that was actually spearheaded by our Prime Minister, which was actually bringing together the farming tools of the farmers, which goes into the base of the construction of the statue. So they collected about 135 metric tons of farming equipment, which is actually in the enforcements at the base of the statue. In fact, the statue by itself is also very unique, because if you see, most of the statues have a wider base and all over the world, and that's a standard resolution for the statues because it gives stability, but this actually goes in the opposite direction. Again, this is the first time, also because not many countries are building statues right now, so we're really not sure if there is another statue which is built like that, but it is definitely built in a way that it supports the structure of the statue, so it's obviously going to sustain the earthquakes and everything else, so all that's taken care of. But coming back to the design of the statue, it's actually an inverted pyramid. About the project, I think we covered this. So it is surrounding the dam. There is a wildlife sanctuary which is around the statue. The construction of this statue was taken up by Larsen and Toubro. They are a large infrastructure company in India, the largest actually. And of course, the country had to bring in expertise from around the world. So we have a consortium which is comprising of Turner Constructions, Michael Graves is the architect, and Meinhardt. So basically all of these companies came together to design the statue in totality. So yeah, this is just probably some of the stages of the construction which would give you an idea of the statue. If you see on the left side, that's the river which is surrounding the statue. And
it's infested with crocodiles, by the way.
Oh,
There are
yeah.
300 crocodiles over there. That's the last count that we have.
that was one of our challenges.
Yeah.
So,
Yes, I can go ahead.
okay, so what makes this project unique? One of the main things is the time constraint. We had a start to finish schedule of 2 months. That's from the finalization of the project. So when we say finalization of the project, we're talking ground zero. At this point, we have no electricity, no connectivity, no data, we'll probably show you that in the slides going forward. No equipment, so everything starts 2 months prior. And
it's a permanent install, so obviously we had no way to do anything which was a stopgap arrangement over there. And what you look at on the slide is the surface of the statue is actually bronze, so which offered us very low gain, which obviously everyone knows it's not projection friendly. So to get the desired brightness was always a challenge for us. Yeah. And,
another problem was the towers. Like we said, the river around the statue is infested with crocodiles. So we couldn't construct the towers, which was challenge number one, because then what we had to do is we had to move behind. So we moved further, and we went 620 meters behind and built the enclosure.
And obviously, I mean, it's not recommended to build any towers to map something which is so tall in the middle of a water body, because considering there is a retaining dam which is not very far away, when they release the water, obviously there would be minor movement on the towers, and that would obviously project south or north, I don't know where. Yeah. So distance to projection is 620 meters approximately. Next. So this is a small video. I mean, we are playing 2 videos just to show what the mapping is actually over there.
So basically it is in Hindi, so you may not understand, but this is how the structure was built. So these are the concrete reinforcements coming up from the center. So one of the directives given to us was we had to cover how the statue was built to give an experience to the person watching, obviously. So the concrete core goes up. There are 2 TMDs. Okay, now this is something very unique, which also was to be captured by us, which basically holds the statue in case of a huge wind velocity because of the height. So it would make sure that the statue is earthquake-proof. And then there was this bronze cladding. So the bronze panels were brought in from all over and reinforced along with the structure.
So this is the actual video taken on site, I mean, after the mapping was complete.
So this is actually showing how the statue will age 100 years from now, because none of us would actually be here to see the statue 100 years from now. So this was another concept that was put forth by the design company who worked on the content, and yeah, so this goes up to
Basically,
100
bronze
years.
changes color over the years. So obviously, we really don't know how the projection is going to react and how it's going to look after the next few years. You know, because in India being very close to the ocean, you see, especially the Western belt. I mean, we always have issues with metal.
Yeah, so this is one part of it. And so just to, before we play this, so we have actually done the projection along with lasers. So there is lasers by HP Laser in Germany, and the projectors are from Christie. And the idea was to bring the projectors and the lasers together into our mapping experience. So we'll first play the... Of course, the flickering is because...
It's taken from a mobile phone.
These are just a few snippets from the show to give you an idea of how the show spans out, actually. So we had a theme, we had a story to tell about the life of the man who we were mapping, because obviously this is not a historical structure, this is not a building that has any history, it was just created. But the man himself was the legend, so what we had to do is we had to go into the grassroots of his history, about all the movements, about the freedom struggle, so that's what we capture here.
So the actual show is for 32 minutes, which happens every day over there, except Mondays. So it's a 32-minute content that's projected on the statue at one stretch.
Yeah, so this is actually the story which depicts his entire life and what all he did for the country. Obviously, again, because this is not in English, I'm also speaking simultaneously for you to understand what this is all about. Strangely, a lot of people in India also did not know much about him until the statue came up, because it's just that he was like one of the unsung heroes. In India, everybody knows Gandhi. So everybody speaks about Gandhi, but very few people actually talk about this man who did so much for the country. So you see here we have the lasers and the projectors integrated, and that was what was different about the show.
So this is the story with our fight.
The freedom struggle.
The freedom struggle, yeah. Okay, yeah, freedom struggle.
Okay, I think you have to go to that.
Sure.
Okay.
So, yeah, go ahead. So now we'll talk about the challenges we faced on site before we actually commenced works. Obviously, there were a lot of stakeholders involved. Companies like Turner Construction was the PMC, the Michael Graves, the architect. They all had reservations about any new structure being introduced towards the end of the project. So just 2 months before the project, this came up and we needed a technical room which could basically accommodate 50 projectors, 6 lasers, and a lot of cabling, including air conditioning, electricals, and all kinds of back-end services in there. So, so you look at this, the building of the enclosure was to be completed in 9 days from the day we got a flat ground zero structure on site. So obviously, I'll take you through the next slides, which will basically talk about what we did here. Yeah. So this was just 4 weeks before the show, what you see over here. And the blue box is where the projection room was to be built by us.
We had no idea what we were going to do when we started.
Yeah, so this is just an aerial view, and it's just a 2D rendering. And just to show you where the statue is, the top left is where the statue is, and bottom where the yellow location P6 is written is where our projection room is. So this distance is about 620 meters from the statue.
So why we say P6 is because we went through 6 locations. We tried across the river bank, we weren't permitted because there's a bird sanctuary there. We couldn't go into the water because the crocodiles would eat us. we couldn't be on the bridge because we weren't allowed to block the view from the bridge. So they kept pushing us, and then we finally got this location called P6, which was right at the extreme end.
So this is the 3D visualization of the enclosure, what we prepared. And this will just show you exactly how we perceive the projection room to look like when it will be fully ready. And these are the projection zones. Basically, we divided the statue into 5 projection zones. Each zone was basically catered to by using 10 projectors divided in 2 stacks. So we had redundancy at stack level and at zone level. So if a projector would fail, we would not lose any brightness in that zone.
So yes, the projection mapping is done with 50 projectors of 25,000 lumens, 5 projection zones. He's already mentioned the redundancy as well.
And the lux level obviously was a very big challenge considering the gain that we had, which was very, very low, and the surface is dark gray or dark brown. So that was the tone of the statue. So getting a bright image on that was always a challenge. So yeah, 20 days to show, 12 days to show. This is 10 days to show. So what you see is the bare shell, which was ready just 10 days before the show went live.
So we had to actually start from scratch, start the building. We didn't have any time. We didn't have time to think. We just knew we had to get this project out.
So when we told Christie we want to install projectors, they were there 7 days before the show and they void all warranty. They said there's no way you're going to get any warranty on the projectors. So this is 7 days to show. This is 3 days to show, and that's show day, yeah. And this was, we couldn't manage to complete this just on time, the flooring, but we did it 3 days after the show was over because nobody wanted to work after the show was live. And this is what you see. That was approximately 13 days after we got the clearance to build the structure. On the left is the structure, what you see. This is the projection room. And this is what you see when you look at it from the outside when 50 projectors are firing on the statue. So this is how the projection room looks like. So a little bit about the technical. I mean, it's not too detailed, but yeah. I mean, our preferred choice for this project was always Christie, but it was just that we wanted to zero down on the model that we use from Christie. And just to let you know, I mean, Christie is the leading provider for projectors in India, and 98% of the market share in our country is with Christie, and India is probably one country, I mean, we are spending a lot of money on permanent installations. I don't know why, but we are, yeah. So the Crimson series were the preferred choice for outstanding image quality, and obviously, I mean, very low maintenance. And obviously the laser projectors with a lamp life of 20,000 hours. Yeah, coming to the lasers, again, this was again a very, very big challenge for us because since we are projecting from a distance of 620 meters, I mean, and to get a very tight beam divergence on the statue was going to be extremely, extremely challenging. So there were a lot of modifications that were required onto the laser systems, which were carried out to get a tight beam on the statue so that it would look sharp and not.
So they were customized by HP Laser. They were extremely, I think Lutz would be in a better position to probably tell you about the lasers.
Yeah, so he can probably take a few minutes and this is not planned, by the way, so we can again.
I don't have a microphone.
Yeah, you can use the handle over there.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you very much for the invitation. My name is Lutz Bartel. I'm the CEO of HP Laser. And yeah, we was really proud that we also was nominated to deliver the laser systems for this amazing project. And as Aarti and Ajay already told you, the challenge was to get from a 620 meter distance a very sharp projection. So that means a normal laser system, what is easily available on the market and also much cheaper on the market, wouldn't work there. Because I'm not sure if you ever worked with a laser system, but a laser laser system has divergence. That means when the beam travels from the laser system to the projection area, it always expands the beam diameter. And this is called divergent, and it's usually given in milliradian. So in a typical laser system, it's with this output power, what we need there to get a good image on the statue has typically 1 millirad to 1.5 milliradian. That means after the beam is traveling from the laser to the statue, every meter the beam expands by 1 to 1.5 millimeter. So in a distance of 620 meter distance, you would have at least 600 up to 1000 millimeter beam diameter, so a beam diameter of 1 meter. And that definitely will not give you a sharp image on the statue. And so we decided to go for an OPSL technology with a special collimation system and really huge scanning systems inside. And then we have distributed the whole power what we need to 6 laser systems. So in total we used 6 systems with 30 watt output power, OPSL technology with a milliradian of divergence of 0.4 milliradian. So that means we reaches a beam diameter in 600 meters with only 25 centimeters. And this is what the human eyes can see then as a very sharp, crispy image on the statue. And so the laser, why we already started at the beginning with our concept and with the idea to have lasers, because it was only requested to have a 3D video mapping on the statue, but we always prefer to have a laser system or several laser systems in the concept, because with laser you are able to have to highlight individual parts and the structure of the statue, because even if you project with this much lumens to the statue and you have a very bright image there, the laser is still higher in contrast and can highlight even in a projection parts and the structure of the statue itself. So this was the idea of our concept, what was finally accepted, and I think the result speaks its own words, and so we are very happy to supply this solution. And then we synchronized the laser systems and the video together to one show. And thank you to all the servers what we used also to these guys to help us in this to settle up the whole system.
Great, thank you.
Right.
Thanks, Lutz. Thank
Great.
you.
Okay. Yeah, obviously coming to the mapping server, which was the heart of the show, was from Disguise, and obviously it was a very simple choice for us to go with Disguise. Though they don't have any installations in India, we still dared to go ahead and import that into the country, and I mean, Disguise was there to support us through and through to make this happen in a short span of time. So just to let you know, I mean, this is Disguise Pro 4x4 with 16 outputs, but in the end, we just use 5 outputs, so we have 9 outputs as spare. So, I mean, another very, very important aspect of this project is we have to all understand that we are projecting on a vertical structure, which is 183 meters tall. And we are somewhere, our projection room is 620 meters away at a height of 51 meters. So to cover such a tall structure with a projection stack is a nightmare. There were 2 choices for us. One is either we would stack the projectors in portrait. That would make life simple, but the projectors would go up to as high as 6 meters, maybe 6.5, 7 meters. So obviously that was not an option for us, considering maintenance, and obviously, I mean, it's not really easy to have a projector at 7 meters and make it work the way you want to. So we decided to have a portrait landscape installation where we had to use mirror assembly. So what you see in the image on the left, you see the projector is actually projecting onto the wall of the projection enclosure. But there is a mirror assembly over there, which has got 3 mirrors, and these mirrors are very, very specialized mirror. Those are military grade mirrors, which have a front coated mechanism, which is with silver, right? Okay, so that's what we see over there, and in the front is the window from where the projection is actually happening on the statue. Yeah, another important system was to have a cooling system that would cater to the heat load that 50 projectors would generate when they're all on at the same time. At the same time, I mean, India is a very humid country, so we had to make sure that there is no condensation on the glass, and there is no loss of brightness or I mean, any quality loss when we have condensation. I mean, with this, we did not have anything of that sort because it's a water-cooled system.
One of the main challenges was the size of our projection room. We had this little ledge that we showed before. So that was the size. So it was 23 meters by 3 meters. That's it. That was where we had to accommodate 51. One is our spare. So 50 projectors, 6 lasers, the amplifiers, the disguise server, everything into that particular stack, into that particular room.
So this is the indoor cooling system. These are the indoor thermal heat exchangers, which obviously each weigh about 400 kilos. So we had 9 of these in the room.
The reason to build this enclosure was obviously we could not have individual housing spread across multiple locations. So the idea was that we bring in everything that an outdoor enclosure does, but all into one big room so that we can have everything working
Together.
from a single location. Like we said, we didn't have time at hand. It was 9 days to go.
So on the right, you see the finished enclosure, which is obviously with the AR glass in the front, and the strips that you see, those are the 5 projectors on every window. So that's where the projection actually happens from. And right on top over there, those are the lasers. So obviously you can see 3 lasers over there, and we have 2 such windows. Yeah. I mean, to end the presentation, we have a small video about
No, I think first we have to.
making of video. That's the projection location.
This is how we took the equipment down because there was no access path to go downstairs.
Yeah.
So everything was lowered down with a crane. There were no stairs, no access path. We just had to walk through scaffolding. This is the whole team installing. This is the Christie team. We had 15 people from Christie at site working with us for the
Day and
install.
night, yeah.
Day and night. That was crazy. This is how the design was done. This is done by a company in India who specialize in this installation. They're called Nonsense. Not nonsense, Nonsense.
Yeah.
This is all of us. This is how we did the mapping with the disguise. That's the disguise team. So that's all
it,
we
yeah.
have on the project, and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.